Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It's Captain Chandler with your police department. I'm here with Kenny Martin, our city manager, with his Live with Kenny weekly video podcast for the community. And it's a great way to get community updates about all the good things happening in our community straight from the top and from our city manager, Kenny Martin. So, Kenny, how's everything going today with you?
Absolutely, my friend. Doing great. It's a beautiful day here in the city. Got a little bit of breeze out there, not too hot. Looking forward to a great walk this weekend and a lot of yard work this weekend as well. Great walk tonight, let me say, or this evening.
Yeah, weather's supposed to be pretty good, but we have this stuff called Saharan dust. Have you heard of that?
I have. It's
No,
the first time I've ever heard of that. I've seen it in other places, but I didn't
right.
realize it was drifting quite this far.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what it does for us. I don't think there's any real concern, but it's supposed to do something with the clouds and so we have some beautiful sunsets. So that'll be very interesting to see. And to everyone joining the broadcast, thank you for being here. This is a live community update where you get to ask questions and interact with us. Now, you can't do that through the video, but you can type in the comments, whether you're on Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, or YouTube. Just type your question or comments in that comment section. We'll be glad to get to those. And if you are joining, please just let us know that you're here. Share the broadcast, like it if you hear something you'd like to hear, so we know that you are here and paying attention. And looks like we have the Kiwanis Club is joining, and John Robertson has joined as well. Shauna is here, and she appreciates the updates, and Kathy is saying hi to John. So maybe they know each other, and Jerry's jumping in too and just appreciates what Kenny does for the city and everyone else. So thank you all for joining. We have a fairly good broadcast for today, talking about the park search that the city is conducting with infrastructure projects, the 4th of July fireworks show, and also some new developments and new businesses coming to our community. So let's just kick it off with the park search. And Kenny, I know you couldn't be there yesterday, but you've seen the properties before. But there was a bit of a tour that was occurring with our parks department and elected officials of 4 different properties throughout the community that could be possible park land. So what's up with the park land search?
Yeah, it's going really well. I want to start off by commending our elected body, because our elected body had a vision years ago that as we started building these newer hotels, that the money that you get from the hotel motel tax could be earmarked for something. So what they decided to do is set that aside and basically a line item and put those monies in there specifically for a park and our park searches, additional park equipment, things of that nature. So that money's built up to a point now to where we decided, hey, now's a good time to look for some parkland. We've been looking for years, but the focus is in recent months has really been pretty hectic when it comes to our defined, I guess you'd say. So there's 4 particular pieces of property, and we learned about a new piece here recently that you speak of, Captain, that they looked at yesterday. And what makes it exciting is it's got a lake. It's about 23 acres. The location for the park is actually ideal and perfect because we've got Mundy Park over in the Providence area, but it's more for like little league football and cheerleading and things of that nature, and it's a passive park per se. So we could use some additional park space in that area. And the tour yesterday, from what I understand, went quite well. There's a lot of excitement around this. I did bring the property up last night at our town hall meeting over in District 4 with Commissioner Mullally, and there was a lot of enthusiasm. I could tell just from facial expressions and head nods, talking about we could use some more park space here. And we know that. We've just been very diligent, I guess you'd say, over the years to make sure that in a lot of ways the property's so high, you got to find the right opportunity. And I think we've got 4 good opportunities right now, and hopefully our commission will support 1 or 2 or all those properties, and whichever one's meant to be, that will be. But a lot of due diligence yet to do before we get there, but hope it builds some enthusiasm and some excitement out in the community.
Yeah, I know. I was out there at that property that had the pond, I guess, and walked around. And I know all the properties have different positives about them and pros and cons, whatever you have. It was a beautiful property. A lot of nature was out there, a lot of healthy trees, older trees, and a lake that's stocked with fish. And I was just imagining in my head, could you imagine families coming here with their kiddos and just fishing in the pond in a safe spot? But it was absolutely beautiful. It reminded me of like a Radnor Lake type experience, just how beautiful that it was with all the wildlife that was out and about. But it's cool that we're looking for new park space. I know land you can't find land, right? Because people are
That's
wanting
exactly right.
that type thing. Land is just doesn't come back to you, and it's nice to see that our hotels and the folks who have, uh, rented rooms from there, that money has gone back to the parks, not really taken from our citizens to go into parks for our community, where it's now a healthy fund where we can go and out and look for parks.
Exactly. It was, yeah, to me, it was a great move on the elected body's part and staff. And what's exciting about this one particular piece of property that we're talking about, it's, when you say 23 acres, it doesn't sound like a lot of property, but when you look at what's actually there, there's a 10,000 square foot residence, which could be used for some community functions and things of that nature. The lake itself, I might go out picture fishing. I picture maybe some paddle boats like what you used to have years ago at Centennial Park, may still have those there now.
Mm-hmm.
Even folks with the remote control type boats, little
Right.
sailboats and stuff. And that's the thing, is we're just trying to create a quality of life here, and we probably lagged behind in recent years on adding additional park space, not from a lack of effort, but with all the growth, as you can imagine, that's increased the property values, and it makes it difficult for the city sometimes to go out and grab the most ideal piece of property that would work great for a park, but not yet be able to sell at a higher rate for a residential development or something like that. And and unfortunately for a city, we'd love for them to sell it to us first at a lower rate, but you can't blame property owners for wanting to sell their property. In this particular case, the owner that has it would actually love for it to be park space. He'd prefer to sell it to the city for park space, and I think that's commendable. So I feel really good about it. Of course, at the end of the day, the elected body will have the say, but we encourage our residents that if it's something you're excited about it, to let them know. If you get a chance to Google that property or ask questions about it, or you want some information sent to you, I'm sure that our parks director and staff here at City Hall can get it to you. But we work diligently every day. We agree we could use some additional park space, but we work diligently to make our city better in every way. And a lot going on in our country and across the world right now. We talked about it a little bit at the meeting last night as well, about focusing on a lot of the positives we've got as well. I mean, it's a beautiful community. Mount Juliet's wonderful. Yes, we're what's the word you use for it? But yeah, of course, we're going to promote Mount Juliet. We love it, but when you compare it to a lot of other places, I just think it's the best place to live.
Sure. Absolutely. Lori has a question here, and I think it's a good question right now. She goes, what is our definition of a park? Is it for kids? We'll have a pool, a lot of playground toys for kids. And I think from what I've seen, our definition of a park is something for the family, for all ages to participate in. And you may want to elaborate on that.
Yeah, I think that's it. Right now, we'd love to do everything. We'd like to have, if you got all these properties, you can imagine you'd have a little something for everybody. So to us, you're right. A park would include something for the kiddos. It includes something for folks my age and older. If you want to walk, if you just want to relax, if you want to rent a gazebo, all those types of things. Each piece of property we're looking at would offer some different things. And eventually, in time, it has been a discussion here at the city about possibly eventually adding a more of a community type flair where you've got a swimming pool, a public pool, but that would probably come at the tail end more so than the land needed and open space for parks, because that tends to serve more people. Because oddly enough, only about 40 to 45% of your population will actually use the pool, to where maybe the majority of people use the other features. So we get a lot of feedback from folks, and we'll do more of that going forward with some more feedback from the citizens on what they actually desire. And then, of course, then you determine from there what you can afford to do as a city.
Great. And speaking of growth with parks and infrastructure, we have a lot of infrastructure projects going on in the city related to walkability and mobility with sidewalks and new traffic signals that have gone up.
Yeah.
What about all the sidewalk projects that are occurring out there?
Yeah, a lot of good sidewalk projects, but you brought up a good point, maybe think of something. On the hotels, of course, the COVID is holding a lot of things down right now. And once we get that vaccine in place and can get past this terrible COVID, we'll be in a much better spot, because hotels in general are down about 80-90% occupancy. I mean, they're just, folks aren't traveling right now. And so, the one thing good about when they are traveling, they stay in those hotels. That generates more revenue for our parks fund, and then we can add more parks land and eventually hopefully get those pools. So when you see a hotel, sometimes folks, go, well, how's that hotel good for our city? Typical hotel is about a $40 million investment. They take up very little acreage. The hotels go vertical, and people tend to stay in communities they feel comfortable with. So your business travelers in particular will seek out cities in specific areas that they choose to stay in, and they actually stay every time they come through. They shop at our stores, they spend money at our restaurants, they go to the movie theater, and they get back on the interstate and go back home. So those things are blessings to us. Sometimes some folks are like, we don't need another hotel. Hotels are great for a community, and they've been a blessing to us. But switching back over to the sidewalks,
Sure.
I was down on Lebanon Road today. Of course, we got the Greenway here in town that's going in. Unfortunately, because of weather and COVID and other issues, we were hoping to get that finished up by the end of June. That's been bumped out because of landscaping and other things and weather. So probably the end of July.
Okay.
But we're just so close. And the neat thing is people are already enjoying it, but they'll enjoy it even more when it's done. And that's the neat thing about it right now. They can feel comfortable to use it, but just know that it's going to be way better once we get it completed. If you go down on Lebanon Road, you see the new sidewalks going in there. Very excited about that because for those of us that remember far enough back when they widened Lebanon Road years ago, you could see where the sidewalk should have been, but at that particular time, the funding wasn't in place for that to happen. So they were prioritizing back then, let's just do roads and we'll worry about sidewalks later. Well, because it was sort of some initial thinking to add them, it's a whole lot easier to put them in now. And so you can see they're already going to be down all the way to Oliver Road. So just imagine, if we can just get some more funding and get some more grants, we can go all the way to the county line.
Right.
And that's going to change the business climate on Lebanon Road and the walkability for those businesses there to give it that same kind of flair and theme that you have on Mount Juliet Road. If you notice, cars just going by, you don't feel real comfortable walking on Lebanon Road, even if you've got the bike lane. That sidewalk just changes the ambiance, it changes the traffic zone, and I'm very excited about that. That's a bit of a game changer for the Lebanon Road corridor for our city. Blenda Parkway, you see the sidewalks that were added there. We let one little small section that literally you could walk all the way from Mount Juliet Road at 70, all the way across the bridge, all the way down the parkway, and all the way back to Mundy Park. We like one little small section, and you'll be able to do that. And we'll get that filled in here real soon. And, to think for just a few years ago, 2 years back, we wouldn't have been thinking about a lot of this. But, our leadership team, our public works team, and our elected body and staff, we understand the importance of that. We're listening to our residents and trying to do everything we can to where you can walk. And now that with the COVID and so many people being at home, they've been cooped up in their houses, they're looking for opportunities to exercise. Well, what better way to exercise? Go somewhere, get you something to eat. By the time you walk back home, you burnt the calories from the meal.
Right.
Still got
That's the ideal thing. That's why I like the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, what we call BPAC, when they do their dinner walks. You walk to eat and then you walk back. So you feel like what you ate is already burned and all the good stuff. And I was amazed. I think it was this weekend I saw it or the weekend before, but the amount of people that are using the Town Center Greenway on Division already, I probably counted maybe 70 people using it during that particular time. I just drove down Division Street on patrol, and I was like, wow, there's so many people. It made me think that the Greenway was already complete, but I got to looking and it's not. But
exactly,
you can walk. You're walking on gravel in areas when you walk, but I was just amazed how many people were using it already, and just I don't know, it kind of fills your heart a little bit because you have pride in Mount Juliet and you love to see the good things for our community come here. That just beautifies it, gives our citizens something to use. So it was just awesome to see, because that's great.
When it does your heart good, I was thinking the same thing. It does good to know that there's something you put in, and if one person uses it and one person benefits from it, then it was beneficial to add it. And when you see hundreds of people, and over time it becomes just a new thing. And what makes me feel even better is that we know what it used to be like, and we know our citizens are enjoying it. But looking at yourself and knowing our police department, you're patrolling by it. That's how you saw it. And if your bike patrol can go down and patrol it as well, so that we can also don't have to worry about the safety.
Right.
And with the LPR cameras and all the other things that we got here, again, priority number one for us is keeping our citizens safe. Priority number two is quality of life, and quality of life in a lot of ways is for, of course, mental health awareness, and mental health fitness, and your overall fitness in general. If I can walk down after I get off work and walk down to Lebanon Road and back, for me, that's one of the best things I could have done for myself today. And if I don't do it, there's a certain amount of guilt that's built in. So having those sidewalks to do that may not seem like that big a deal, and you're just driving by them. But for those that utilize them or can use them, man, it's great.
Yeah, it sure is. I'm going to go to a couple questions that I've seen. Jenny has a question about dog parks, but Jenny, I don't know if you can respond, but the city does have two dog parks, right, Kenny? One is the South Mount Juliet Bark Park off Southeast Springdale, and the other is in the center of town at Jones Family Park.
It is.
It is okay,
And
and
we've added some trees there to sort of hopefully add in some shade as well.
right, and Jenny, that other dog park is near the intersection of Mount Juliet Road near Old Lebanon Dirt Road. And Daniel has a question about the parkland. What area is it in? And Kenny, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the old Wintry Golf Course. That's one location. There's a location on Lebanon Road near Beckwith Road. There is a location off South Rutland Road. And what would the fourth be, Kenny? There may even be a fifth now, but
Yeah, the fourth may be the Cedar Creek putt
okay,
Creek
yeah,
area.
that
And, of
must
course,
be it.
and then maybe the other would, of course, be the one you're talking about. It's over in the Providence area. So it's spread out pretty well, and we'll continue to look. And if anybody that's listening knows of somebody that's got some land and they're not thinking to develop it, and it really wouldn't work so well for developments per se, because there's not sewer there, maybe the topography is not quite perfect.
Sure.
Reach out to us, let us know, because we're considering all options right now, and there may even be somebody out there that's philanthropic and would love to to help the community out, just got like hundreds of acres, and said, hey, I'd like to carve off a certain amount of acres to the city. And if somebody did that, of course we would be honored to possibly name it after a family member or something. We're all opportunities are on the table, simply because this has been done in other communities, and we just want to do everything that we can to increase the quality of life. I keep using that quality of life, and that is important to us, because I understand, I know you do, Captain, and we do as a city, what our citizens are dealing with. We know in a lot of ways they're hurting, they're tired, they've been through a lot. You're talking about this sand situation going on today, and we've had the COVID, and we had the windstorm, we had the tornado, and just been through so much. And you just keep thinking, how much more can we take? Well, you know what? We're humans, and we're not perfect, but together we can accomplish anything we set our minds to. And we got to remember not to forget one another, and we need each other, and we can do a whole lot more united than we can divided.
Right, that's it. And this gentleman has the questions about where does the Greenway begin? And sir, I don't know your name, but I can see your profile name there. But the Greenway, the Town Center Greenway, goes from our train depot at Division and Mount Juliet Road all the way down Division Street to South Green Hill Road. But there's other greenways in our community. There's the Providence Greenway that's throughout the Providence neighborhood, and then there's the Jackson Hills Greenway that is near Golden Bear Gateway and Woodridge Place. Is where the trailhead is for that, and that greenway is about 3 miles out and back. And I know that specifically because it's near my home, and that's where I like to go walk, is the Jackson Hills Greenway. But we continue to put all these greenways in place. A lot are funded by grants and by developments that come in, because I know that's one thing the city requires, and I heard this at the town hall last night, is when people want to bring a development into our community, they have to bring a lot of the amenities with it as well. And also the construction of the development has to be aesthetically pleasing and well built, such as out of brick or stone. They have to put in the sidewalks or the greenways and have the nice bike racks and the nice decorative trash cans, and whatever it may be. Mount Juliet is a highly sought out destination. So we want to be sure that our requirements to come here benefit those who already live here.
That's true. Yeah, you want to make sure they're all setting that impact that they may have on the community. Give an example. I was bragging last night at the meeting for those out there listening when Southern Bank came in up here at Northwest Rutland. We all know there's a light that's been needed there for years. A lot of times it takes that one more business that makes it warranted. And what I mean by warranted is at the state level, before we can add a traffic signal on a state highway, for example, like Lebanon Road or Mount Juliet Road, you have to reach a certain traffic point to where the state says that light is now warranted. Well, odd enough, when the bank came in, that sort of tipped the scale to get that intersection to the point. You would think that the light was already warranted prior to that. Right. A lot of times it's not quite warranted, even though in our hearts and minds we feel like it's needed. The exciting thing is the city required that if the bank went there, that they would have to contribute or cover the cost for that light. Well, that light was about $300,000. And it made a huge difference. It's the best $300,000 spent for anybody that uses that intersection.
Sure.
And it was worth it to the bank. So we appreciate their investment in that. But I think that was fair simply because there was going to be an impact on a lot more traffic utilizing that intersection as a result of the bank. And they stepped up. They're top notch. They're good folks and did that. If we'd have been thinking about it years ago about the growth we'd see here, we would have probably required some type of, fund escrow account or something set up to where each of those businesses that came, a certain amount of money got put into that pot, because it's their way of giving back to the community for the impact that they're putting on it. So I know sometimes folks will say, well, that doesn't seem fair. You're making them do it. Why aren't you doing it? Well, it's because they're creating the impact. And so you're sharing that with them. And then if they really want to buy into the community, most businesses that do that, they want to do that. They want to add the trash receptacles or the bike rack, because if I'm a customer and I'm using, say, for example, one of our local businesses, I want to ride my bike. Well, I'm more apt to go there if I can actually lock my bike up so that
Right.
someone doesn't take it. But if they don't have it, just like a trash can, if I put a trash can there and we require it, it gives somebody a place to put that trash. And one thing takes care of another, and so on. And ultimately, just works well together.
Yeah, great. Absolutely. So a lot of good infrastructure projects coming on, and we have a new, not a new thing, but something to bring us some joy, not this weekend, but next, with the July 4th fireworks show. And we just want to remind everyone about the 4th of July fireworks show. It's going to be Saturday, July 4th at 9 o'clock. It's going to be launched from the Mount Juliet League ball fields along Lebanon Road at 9. And to get perfect viewing of the fireworks, you can pay $10, which is a fundraiser for the Mount Juliet League and the youth that participate in that program. And you can park at the Little League fields and be right under the firework show. And Kenny, what was the idea behind ensuring that our fireworks could go on again this year in the community?
Gotcha. Cat Mute said something. I want to finish up two more things. The bridge widening at 40 and Mount Jet Road, that's still proceeding. That should hopefully start in the fall of 2021. I mean, we're on the cusp of that now. What takes those things a lot of times a little bit longer than what you want them to is right-of-way acquisition, engineering, environmental design, and so on. So we're right on the cusp of that. That project's going to happen. That'll make traffic a whole lot better in that particular part of Mount Juliet, because right now you've got that one lane for the most part that goes southbound across 40. This will add another lane, which would basically make it like 3 lanes that go across, and of course 2 of those, that will take you onto the interstate, and then 2 that will take you on northbound on Mount Juliet Road.
Right.
So it's still progressing well. We're excited about that.
Good.
And also we're upgrading the adaptive signal. So I know a lot of times folks say, was that adaptive signal program that you put in work? It does. Trust me, if we were to cut that off today, you would notice a difference, probably somewhere between 8 to 15%, I'd say, in traffic. Golden Bear, for example, you look at what that did for our traffic. Can you imagine if you didn't have Golden Bear today? So there's been some big things the city's done that may necessarily you don't think about today, but if you go back and think, wow, if we didn't have those today, the Central Pike interchange, lots of other traffic improvements, they just take a while. I wish we could just do them overnight, and even if we had the cash, we couldn't make that happen.
Right.
It just take a while, and we appreciate everybody's patience. Let us know about those sticking points or those areas where they're not working well, and we'll get them fixed. Back to the 4th of July, the reason we decided to have the show is, for one, we trust our citizens, and we trust that people will do the right thing. There's some out there that can do better with the COVID and wear their masks and take better care of themselves, wash their hands, keep their hands off their face. When you're sick, stay home, things of that nature. But we feel like we believe in our residents, and we feel like they need a break. We feel like they need an opportunity to get out and celebrate this wonderful community, celebrate this wonderful country, and just have some good family time and just relax. And so this is a great location for it. It'll also enable us to make a little bit of money for the Little League program, which is separate and apart from the city of Mount Juliet. And there's a lot of kiddos there looking forward to playing, baseball and cheerleading and all the different things that go with that. Moms and dads getting out and enjoying their kids growing up. So that park, of course, can utilize those resources they make from the park. And so if you choose to go to the show, and we hope that you do, you'll come hungry so that you can patronize local businesses in the area and local markets, and and you can come and set up all along the course. And Captain, I know you'll tell them here in a minute different places they can park, but if you park at the Little League, that's front and center parking, and that's going to be the best visibility there is, and you can pay $10 to park there. But if you choose not to do that, you can park pretty much anywhere else that you'd like to, and for free. And just, if you don't mind, pick up after yourself when you leave, because all these businesses are being most respectful for allowing us to park in their areas. But it's going to be one heck of a show. It should be even better than what last year's show was, and give everybody an opportunity to just get out and have a good time and relax a little bit.
Yeah, and the viewing is great anywhere from Lebanon Road near Mount Juliet Road. So Publix, Kroger, all the different parking lots along Lebanon Road near Park Glen, all the way to Mount Juliet Road and about halfway to Nonneville. You can really get a good viewing of the fireworks show. and which will kick off at 9 o'clock. Our officers will be out there, our volunteers, police explorers, Citizens Police Academy, our reserve officers will be out there ensuring everyone, all the traffic is moving well. We're there to also protect people too, and we really look forward to it. It'll be a nice time. We do ask with the COVID-19 stuff that's out there is that everyone kind of stay at their vehicle where they find a parking spot. We don't want a lot of people mingling and grouping up and being real close to each other. But if you come with your family, if you come with friends who you're always hanging out with, just stay in the area of where you park to be able to watch the fireworks show. And that's the best thing for everyone. Of course, the masks are highly recommended to help prevent this spread of the virus. But I'm looking forward to it, Kenny, and it's always exciting every year when we have the fireworks show. I know it moves around, and but it's been steady here at the Little League or the Mount Juliet League fields, and I think it's going to be a great show. It's also synced to music, which you can turn your radio to 94.1 The Fish and be able to listen to the music that the fireworks are synced to.
Yeah, and speaking of those masks, we've been watching the numbers, and we agree that they went up, and that's concerning. So I want to encourage people to to not get too comfortable, to continue to wear your mask, social distance, wash your hands, things of that nature. We still feel like the folks deserve a break, and we want them to have a good time. But definitely wear your mask, especially if you're going into a facility or something like that. We're not mandating or requiring anything, but we definitely encourage folks to we want you to take care of yourself. We want to take care of our people, and hopefully we're getting closer to a vaccine and can get past this. But in the interim, let's just continue to do the great work we've been doing and to be safe. And I think this, there's a certain amount to say about vitamin D and getting outside, and this will afford you an opportunity if you get there a little bit before daylight and set up, or just to get out and get your spirits up a little bit. And that's probably as good for health as anything right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Jumping to some questions, I think we're a little bit about our infrastructure talk. Was Brandy asked, will there be sidewalks on North Green Hill Road? And I know, Kenny, North Green Hill Road is actually being moved in front of the high school. That is considered North Green Hill, and it's going to come out there on Lebanon Road. The traffic signal from the old North Green Hill is going to be moved, I guess, to that location. And then there's going to be sidewalks on North Green Hill in the city limits.
Yes, and the part that's in the city up to the school. Yeah, anything beyond that, that's out into the county, so we wouldn't have any control of that. But
right.
If she's asking about that section there, absolutely.
So, Brandy, the section in the city limits is getting sidewalks, and we just don't have control for Green Hill Road, which is outside of our city limits. And our city limits is very minimal right there at North Green Hill Road, and really is kind of just the high school area and a couple of businesses right there at Green Hill and Lebanon Road. Question from Terry about plans to update division around the Amazon facility. I know some updates were required for Amazon to come on. Do you want to talk about those updates, Kenny?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and if I remember correctly, there were some changes there toward the end. So if I misspeak, I apologize. And if anybody has any questions, we can always confirm. But I believe it was between $7 and $9 million worth of improvements to East Division Street on that section closest to Golden Bear, and they were coming that way so far back west.
Okay.
I want to say it was down to maybe Old Lemon Dirt Road.
Okay.
Old Lemon Dirt Road east up to Golden Bear. So yes, a pretty good section of road there is going to be upgraded, and that's another perfect example. Is one of the requirements for Amazon to come, because they're creating an impact on the community, of course, is that they had to do a certain amount of traffic improvements. So you'll not only see improvements on East Division Street, which I think will make at least a section of that a lot safer. You're also going to see a greenway, and they're donating some land for a future fire station out there, not only to the city, but also to the county. And then also I think that there's some decel lanes being added on Golden Bear, and even some traffic signals. So a lot of upgrades are being made to our community as a result of Amazon getting here, not to mention all the great jobs they'll provide and all the other things that we'll get from that business. So that's the one, it's multiple examples of why new business coming to your community can be a blessing.
Absolutely. And speaking about new businesses, we have a couple that are coming. I know there's a development that we talked about at the town hall last night at Commissioner Jennifer Mullally Town Hall in District 4, which is the Providence area in Belinda City, but Providence Central, where they are proposing to come. I think there's another vote, but they're proposing to build the roadway infrastructure before they start putting in a lot of the buildings and occupancy for those buildings. You want to speak a little on that?
Yeah, Providence Central, people have probably heard about that for decades. We always referred to that area as the Golden Triangle. And the reason is, even at the state level, the state officials will tell you that when you think about Class A office or upscale development, you picture it being there. And the reason is because you've got Central Pike, Mount Juliet Road, and then I-40, and you've got this pocket there. And with its proximity to Nashville and also the International Airport, them out there doing $4 to $5 billion in upgrades, folks, and especially the business world, you're probably going to see some movement from other states looking for places like Tennessee or Mount Juliet to come to, like they did in Franklin with all the Class A office. And so we would be positioning ourselves quite well, and it could possibly, as a result of development going in there, expedite the Central Pike interchange coming on quicker. As everybody knows, the city and its elected leadership team for years has been, contributing toward that project. Even though it's a federal and a state project, the city wants to help expedite that because we understand the importance not only to our city, but this region. And that interchange will be used by far more people, just like the bridge at I-40, than just the residents of Mount Juliet. So I'm proud of our city because I feel like they're doing their part and then some. We've set aside $40 million just on engineering, design, environmental, and right-of-way work to set aside specifically for infrastructure projects. And the things that we unfortunately can't control is the timing of it. We've got to go through these hoops, and even if we had the $77 million needed to upgrade Central Pike interchange alone in Central Pike, and we paid cash, it would still take the same amount of time because you've got to jump through those necessary, you hate to call them hoops, but the processes have to be followed. And the city's got to do that, and we're doing that. But by putting skin in the game as a city, we get our projects on the list, and they're more apt to get funded. And that Central Pike interchange has been approved, which is huge. That took lots of work by the elected body and the staff of the city of Mount Juliet to get it to that point, working with state officials through our state representative, state senator, our county mayor, you name it, people working together going, this is important to us. But imagine if you don't even live in Mount Juliet and you're coming up 40 eastbound and you have no business to conduct in the Providence area. You'll be able to get off basically that Central Pike interchange and totally bypass that. So when you start thinking of all those cars that wouldn't necessarily have to go in that area, it now makes it more, the traffic would just be a lot less. So, but the Providence Central development to me could be one of the greatest things ever happened to our city because it would be less about retail and more about white collar, higher end paying jobs. And so that's a great development, and I hope that eventually it gets the approval that it needs to proceed to the next. But most importantly, it's one of the first developments in my time here with the city, which is 30 plus years, that they're willing to put the infrastructure in on the front end.
That's good.
Somewhere to the tune of, according to what they said last night, about $11 million in infrastructure. So say if they put that infrastructure in, they get approved, and nothing ever comes in this development, we still got the roadway improvements, and we need those today.
Sure. Yeah, that's when I heard that last night. I was pretty amazed that they're going to put all that in before they start the other stuff. But I think they realize our elected officials' desire and our community's desire that we want the infrastructure before you start building stuff. So that's nice to get. Yeah,
and the city tried to give some folks, in the past an opportunity to do some development, hoping that the roads would fall, shortly thereafter. And unfortunately, you get into hiccups sometimes, another like the Indiana bad, and sometimes you get issues where things won't compact, or you run into underground stream, and before you know it, what was just a ditch at one time is now, got cattails in it. So it's a green, it's a blue line stream. And
right.
A lot of things happen that can hold you up, and we don't want that to happen with this development. But we have an opportunity to fix an issue that needs to be fixed today on the front end of a development that we won't even see for 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, well,
pretty awesome.
Yeah, that sounds like an awesome thing, and hopefully we'll see that move through well. Other new businesses coming. I heard we have a Hibachi Junior. Slotsky's has already opened up. What can you say about those and anything else that's coming on?
Yeah, I'm excited. If you go to Slotsky's today, you'll notice probably when you get in there, the first thing somebody's going to say is, "Wow, this doesn't make any sense. They didn't build it right," because you're literally, the drive-through is pouring out onto the road. Well, a lot of that's just caused a lot of the cooped up demand. People are excited about it, so it's early on in the process. Plus, when they start building this restaurant originally, they were thinking there'd be a certain amount of people eating inside.
Right.
And since COVID, drive-throughs have never been more popular. And so, unfortunately, unless you've got 2 drive-throughs, you're going to probably have some stacking.
Sure.
And what I encourage people to do is when you pull into a drive-through, I of course don't want you bumping the car in front of you, but if you can reduce that space between you and the car in front of you, of course you're in your car, you've got your mask on, you're safe and all, that'll help pull those cars a little bit tighter together. Sometimes I notice these gaps that are almost a car length, And when you do that, of course, just like sitting at a red light, if you've got all these gaps, only so many cars are going to get through. So we have to just sort of work together, be patient, and but I'm excited about Slotsy's. I'm excited about the Hibachi Junior, which will go in the old Crystal building.
Good.
If you've never eaten there before, when they had the food truck, you'll love it. It's a lot like Panda Express. If you like Panda Express, it's a lot like that. Of course, the new Taco Bell that's going in, excited about that. There's 3 new Dollar General stores going in. We're working with some other businesses will be coming. We've got a prospect for the old Logan's restaurant. We've got a prospect already in place for Pier 1. A lot of folks, they get concerned when you see something go out, and say, oh, what's going to happen? It's going to be a bunch of empty space. You're always going to have some empty space, but the good thing about an empty space is that it gives you an opportunity to recruit somebody to fill it. For example, when H.H. Gregg went out of business a few years ago, immediately we got busy trying to recruit a furniture store.
Right.
I mean, it may not have been the furniture store everybody wanted, but we're able to get Ashley Furniture, and they've done quite well. And it definitely was much better than an empty building. But we will have more empty buildings if we don't continue to support our local businesses, the brick and mortar stores, and you're seeing fewer of those come. And the reason being is that so many people now shop with e-commerce, and e-commerce is great, but it's but it's also taking a toll on our brick and mortar stores. So I like having both, and so I try to patronize both as much as I can. But I encourage folks out there to listen, especially if you love Mount Juliet. Please support your local businesses in the community you live in first, because those tax dollars, they trickle back into your local economy to help your sheriff's department, your fire department, your school system, your roads, your police department, the city of Mount Juliet, and all these other services you have that you feel like are essential to you. It helps with that. So we want to selfishly, I'd say, maybe that was the word I was looking for earlier. We think a lot about Mount Juliet, so we want to put ourselves first, of course.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I look at Mount Juliet as a sports team. You cheer on all the time, and you want it to be successful. So you have to support them in whatever way.
Yeah, I have people come up to me and tell me they feel guilty, and I know you're one of them, that if they're somewhere and they inadvertently had to buy something, but they're headed back to Mount Juliet,
that's it.
They feel bad for doing it. And that's you hate for anybody to feel bad, but if you're going to feel bad that way, that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's it. So do you want to open it up for some questions and see if anyone has any questions out there? So Kenny and I covered a couple topics related to park searches, infrastructure projects, the 4th of July fireworks show, and new businesses and development coming to town. But if you have a question, please just type that in the comments, and we will try to get to those. Of course, this is an interactive update. We are here. Kenny is here as the city manager, which is our top appointed official for the city of Mount Juliet, who leads our community forward. And we're here to answer questions that our community has. This is a rare opportunity. You don't see this happening across cities across this nation, where you have the city manager live on video and able to take questions from the community of anything that's out there. So please, if you have anything, just type it in. If you want to share the video, please share it, like it, put a little happy face, a wow face, whatever it may be. That helps with engagement. That helps more people see this video who are watching it on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter. So, and thank you all for joining, for sure.
Can I add one thing? Actually, two things. You made me think of something, and sometimes you sit there and your heart starts finally getting to your brain to where it comes out your mouth. Right. I want to thank our police department and our fire department for all the support they've given the city of Brentwood. The start of this year was horrible in our community, and in a lot of ways it's been horrible throughout the state with the tornadoes. A lot of those cities out there that helped us, you think about Cookeville, you think about Chattanooga, and you think about Brentwood. That was some of the first cities that when I was, out here during the tornado, about 1:30 in the morning, standing on Mount Joe Road, I started reaching out to those cities, and they came and helped us. And I got a note yesterday from a city manager in Brentwood thanking me for what our city had done, and in particular our police department had done, to help them with a fundraiser. And they'd raised $60,000 for this family of this officer that tragically lost his life. Mm-hmm. I can relate to that, Captain, and I know you can, because when I was police chief, we lost 2 officers tragically in the line of duty in our city. Right. So I know what that community is going through. I know you know that, and I know our citizens do. And a lot of people were here for us when we needed it, and I'll never forget that. And we've never forgot those fine officers that lost their lives in our community. So Brentwood, this was the first for them, and it's something you never wish upon anybody, because they know what that feels like. And we pray for them. We pray for their community. I appreciate their city manager taking time to reach out to me to tell me that he appreciated what our city had done for them, and also what our police department had done for them. That means a lot to me as a human being. means a lot to me and a lot of pride for our community. Is there's some experience that we've got as a city that we wish we didn't have, but I think it, and I think a lot of ways it makes us much better human beings. And we preach that a lot here, Captain. You know my heart, and I know yours. And for folks that don't know us out there listening, I sometimes wish that God made us opaque. And when I say that, I wish, because then you can't hide what everybody can see. And if you picture the old analog meters where it said you're telling the truth or you're telling a lie, we know the facts and we can speak to those facts. But there's a lot of good people here. And so we're praying for the folks in Brentwood. We're praying for that precious family and for that police department, that community, because we understand fully what they're going through. And I know that's sort of outside my lines, Captain. That's more in your area, but that's just weighing on my heart to bring that up. So continue to pray for the fine folks of Brentwood and that beautiful family, and continue to pray for our community, because the tragedies we've suffered here and those families, that never ends. And we promise we'd never forget, and we will not forget.
Absolutely. And to add to that, Kenny, our honor guard participated in Officer Legaze's funeral yesterday. We also went up to assist Channel 2 that does fundraisers for the officer's family, and they raised $77,000. And 8 of our police explorers and 3 of our officers went down, stood in the hot sun with buckets, and they raised $77,000. And they were amazed about the amount of support in the Brentwood community, which basically emulates the amount of support that we get in our community. And we are well supported. And when you see what's happening nationwide, I think that encourages others to reach out to the police department, because they are reaching out to us to let us know that they continue to support this police department 100%. And it's heartwarming. Sometimes it's overwhelming because we're constantly getting it. But I would never turn it away, and we just appreciate it and know that from the chief. And I asked the chief, I said, hey, is there anything you want me to mention on Kenny's Live today? And he said, please mention and thank the community for all they continue to do for us, and for our community to keep us in their prayers and continued support. And if there's anything we can do better, to reach out to us, to let us know what we can do better as a police department, because most of us live in the community. I live here, Kenny, you live here, Chief lives here. We basically grew up in this community, and where we're here for it, and we're not going anywhere. And we want this community to flourish, and where everyone gets along and everyone's kind and supports one another.
Yeah. And I want to remind everybody as well, back in March when the COVID first hit, we were talking about the medical workers and the grocery store clerks and these restaurateurs, and none of that's changed. Those folks are still heroes. The delivery drivers, you name it. There's lots of heroes out there. All of us can be heroes in some shape, form, or fashion right now. And so we all need to do everything we can to be heroes ourselves. I mean, I know that's a big word, and we understand what true heroes are, but we all can be heroes right now. We all need one another, and don't forget those folks that are still out there, putting their lives in danger every day. Of course, we know our police and firefighters do that every day, and I can't thank you all enough for that.
True. Seeing a couple questions here about Lebanon Road widening, about is it going to be widened eventually, from Mount Juliet to Highway 109?
It is, yeah. And unfortunately, it's like anything. And you look back on these projects where they widened it from Lebanon, then they skipped the big section, and it was widened in Mount Juliet. They did that at the time because it was a priority. They were trying to widen it in the areas where it was needed the most, and you thought more out in the rural areas it wasn't needed as much. But what's happened is, of course, Lebanon's grown, Mount Juliet's grown, and the folks that travel that section through there, that's going to get done. But unfortunately, it'll probably be done after some of these more pressing projects are done. But the good thing is the city's pushing forward the best we can, along with Lebanon and the county, to try to push for that. And I think because of the work you're seeing on 109, that work could actually be expedited, because you're going to have a whole lot more traffic coming down Lebanon Road now from Lebanon. So good news for, I had to look around to see Miss Fox's name, or I can't tell if it's Miss or Mr. My little camera's in the way, but
sure.
The Fox family that's a very valid question. We get that daily. We're pressing along with Lebanon and the county to see if we can't make that happen sooner.
Okay, great. Ellie is asking, I know some speed humps went in on Mary Court. She's asking if there's going to be more. I assume we're going to see what the speed humps do. We have the ability to do traffic studies to count the number of cars along with what speed they're going. And if we see that the current humps are calming the speeds, I don't think we would add more, but if we need to, I'm sure we will, because we do that wherever there is a need for traffic calming already.
Yeah, I was talking to our engineering department earlier, and there was another resident that had asked. And oddly enough, I don't know why I was thinking that name may have been Ellie as well. So it may have been the same
Okay.
person, but there's a total of 4 going in, and some people refer to them as speed bumps. We refer to them as speed humps, and sometimes you even hear people say speed tables.
Right.
I know that the police department will be working hard to continue to keep people slowed down through there. Not sure what they're going to do, with other traffic calming measures, but I know right now there's a total of 4 of those going in on Mary Court alone. And
Okay.
we'll continue to monitor that through our engineering department and our public works director. And if they feel like that more is needed through those traffic studies they conduct with the police department, then we'll probably work through their HOA to see if they're supported, and we could always go back and add more.
Okay, great. Let's see here what we got. Okay, a lot of stuff about supporting. Okay, here's the one I saw. Any discussion with warehouse store like a Sam's or Costco's, from Jerry Wallace?
Yes, those conversations continue, and I think with what's happened, with I know everybody was disappointed when Murfreesboro announced that they were getting the next Costco. I think that we were when I've dealt with Sam's and Costco over the years, I always heard it would be between Mount Juliet and Murfreesboro. And of course, we expected that Murfreesboro would be first before Mount Juliet or Wilson County per se. And I think what's happening in our county, second wealthiest county now, second best school system, having the largest Amazon facility, basically at this particular point, I think in the country, if not the world, that speaks volumes. Our proximity to Nashville and I-40, 840, 440, 24, 65. And I think we're best suited for it right now. And so to answer that question, I think we're in the catbird seat. Am I working with anybody right now that's going to happen overnight, or is Lebanon? I couldn't say, but I can tell you that we are having conversations and through recruitment.
Okay.
So hopefully we can make that dream. We hear that quite often. That's probably the most widely requested business for our community, next to a organic grocery store.
Right.
And the third would be in entertainment venues like skating, bowling.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you, we're closer now than we've ever been. We've had a landowner out of Cookville that's bought property here. It's about 10 acres. They probably need maybe half of that, or just a little more than half of that. So the land's been bought for something like that. But unfortunately, as a result of COVID, as you can imagine, those facilities haven't done so well. So they're not necessarily pushing forward, but we will make that happen.
Okay, great. So I guess let's go ahead and just wrap this up. We're past our 45-minute time frame. And is there anything you want to close it out with, Kenny?
I just want to thank everybody. I mean, I know what everybody's going through and the pain that they're feeling. I feel it too. A lot of days I'm depressed, and no matter how hard I try, it didn't seem like I can get it off of my mind, some of the things that I'm seeing. I think that's because you care.
Right.
And I think that's because you love your country and you love one another, and you hate seeing what's going on. But we will get through this. We'll get through it just like we did other things that have happened in the past in our world and in our country. And we'll learn from it and get better. And I just encourage folks maybe to turn a lot of that stuff off that you're watching and that you're seeing, and just embrace your neighbors and embrace your family, love on one another, speak positively, get out into our greenways, get out into our parks, enjoy the things that you can that cost you absolutely nothing. If it's just going out like we did as kids and laying in the backyard and looking up at the clouds and trying to see what they look like. Mm-hmm. We want our people to be happy. And we know that we don't have all the tools necessary to do everything we need to do, but we're striving daily to do that. But we're going to keep you safe, and we're going to keep your community clean, and we're going to hopefully keep you proud of your community. And we just got to create some more things for you to do in this community. And we're working tirelessly at that. And keep your fingers crossed, might be getting some more parkland here soon. And a couple of those pieces, we could almost have something up and going in a matter of just a few weeks, to where people could be enjoying those parks day one. So our elected body's listening, staff's listening. So we love you. We care about you. We're going through the same thing together. We're in this together, and we're going to get through it together.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm very excited about the parkland search. It's something I enjoy doing, is I love to get out and walk and enjoy the nature. But Thank you, everyone who's joined the Live with Kenny broadcast. We try to do this weekly unless there's some other issue that pops up or one of us take off. But typically, most Fridays, you can find us here at 3 o'clock live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, interacting with you and taking any questions that you may have. And if there's anything that we can do for you, you can always call City Hall or call the police department, and we are here for you and here to serve. So thank you all for joining. Please share the video. Please like it so we can get more engagement. And please have a safe and wonderful weekend. Have a good one, everyone.